General Terrence O'Shaughnessy of the United States Northern Command joins me now. General, you know, as we look at this, the biggest question has to be, do you think that the acting Secretary of the Navy now, Modly, should remain in that position? Do you think it's likely that he will?
Well, Harris, the ships I'm focused on right now are the USNS Comfort and the Mercy, and the world-class care they're providing our American citizens at our time of need at this COVID-19.
So you don't have a comment on what's going on? I mean, it does affect, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and you had a ship that's had an outbreak on it, and all of this fury and drama after it. I'm just curious to know your thoughts on it.
Yeah, Harris, I'm focused like a laser on our national response to the COVID-19. We have airmen, soldiers, sailors, Marines all across this great nation doing heroic action, going right to the sound of gunfire, if you will. The healthcare workers need our support. We're there for them, and that's what I'm focused on right now.
All right, let's laser focus on it together then. The Comfort and the Mercy. And we know in New York City, the first crew member aboard the naval hospital ship Comfort has now tested positive for COVID-19, General. And this comes just one day after President Trump and New York Governor Andrew Cuomo announced the ship would start accepting all patients, regardless of their COVID-19 status. Right now, the Comfort has 41 patients on board, including 5 who tested positive for coronavirus. Earlier today, Governor Cuomo expressed his appreciation for the military's efforts. Let's watch.
Department of Defense has been fantastic, and the number of military personnel they have sent up here and how quickly they've sent up here, and this is a tough assignment to run facilities this large and to come up to speed and to be handling this many COVID patients in a new startup emergency facility. This is a really difficult undertaking, and they've really been fantastic.
You know, I'm curious, how does it change any of the configuration about the ability for these ships to help when some of your own now are dealing with coronavirus on board?
Well, first I'll say we're so proud to be able to support the governor, the mayor, New York City, all the citizens there, and we've adapted our fire, right? We know, in fact, I talked to the governor this morning and very clear what they need from us and the support that their healthcare system needs. And so we've changed, as you mentioned, we changed the configuration of the ship. One of the things it does, it takes the capacity down. So initially it started with 1,000-bed capacity. As we reconfigured the ship, we're bringing that down to about 500. 450 or so of those beds are kind of bunk bed style. And so you can't have patients that are in that close proximity. And so those are the types of things that the ship crew's done. It's just an unbelievably good job of very quickly repositioning, reposturing the ship. We've built some facilities outside of the ship to help augment that as well with some tents outside. They've been working 24/7, nonstop, just like the rest of the healthcare workers in New York City to be part of this solution and to really be a relief valve for the New York City and the state of New York.
Well, that is really interesting and helpful information just on the reconfiguring, because there was this, question about could you handle that in the kind of stack that you have on a ship with so many beds. And so if you configure it differently and you use some outside the ship help, that's very interesting. How quickly do you think you can come up to speed with utilizing what you have on board? It's been a slow process up until now, as you know, because of red tape. And the Joint Chiefs Chairman shared with me, General Milley, that, you can absolutely handle it no matter what kind of patient's coming in. But that was a few days ago, and you still only have 41 patients.
Right, Harris. Well, I'll tell you, we're ready right now. In fact, because we've been working this, we've been watching what's been happening, dealing very closely with some of the New York City and New York State officials. And so we've actually been doing some of this reconfiguration in anticipation of our Commander-in-Chief telling us to move out on this. So we're actually ready now. We're actually executing as we speak. I work with the governor and his team, and as well as the mayor, to try to open up some of that communication to get the teams and the patients flowing. And I think I'm very optimistic. We've had about 150 folks so far that we've treated at the various facilities that we do have there. We think that will drastically increase. For example, we have 60 at the Javits Center right now. We think that we are the relief valve. We've also pushed about 300 folks forward directly into the hospitals. to provide support there, and that three-prong approach of the doctors and nurses going directly to the hospitals, the Javits Center for kind of the low-end acuity, and then the high-end acuity going to the comfort with the surgical capability, the ICU, operating rooms, all of that's now been reconfigured to do the COVID as well.
You know, General O'Shaughnessy, as a former military brat, I caught what you did there, because it is sometimes hard to have civilians interfacing with military folk. And so what you're doing is you're going to them and you're having those conversations. Because if you don't do that, there's a disconnect sometimes. Plus, they're working so hard in those hospital settings, I can't imagine that they have the time to interface with those in the military, too. So I see the mission plan that you have there. Real quickly, operating during a pandemic. And I'm not going to hit it again because you already said you didn't want to talk about the Theodore Roosevelt. But people talk. They're in social media presence. People are in contact. What are you telling your own people that you lead amid a pandemic that you got this? Like, what's the message? Because some of them are going to get COVID-19.
Well, they are. And, you know, it's almost a little bit flipped. You know, normally we have our fighter pilots, other folks, soldiers going out in harm's way. In this case, the doctors and the nurses that are normally supporting us in the backfield are actually the ones in the front lines. And so we're so proud of them. We're making sure they have the right equipment, the right PPE, the right training. But we know they are going in harm's way, and some of them will be impacted. But we're going to be there for them, just like we're there for the New York citizens. We'll take care of them, just like they've taken care of us for so many different operations that we've been in.
General O'Shaughnessy, who leads the Northern Command, sir, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Harris.